Welcome everybody to another Tech Tip Tuesday. It is February 14th, Valentine's Day. Hey, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. My name is Ken Close. I'm a Healy World member here in the United States, engineer, and loving every minute of it. And I'm joined by my co-host, amazing Jake Barron, head of operations for the Americas. Hey, Jake.
Hey, Ken. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Right on. Hey, the month of love, right? And tonight we have Anthony, right, in our chat. Yep, in the background from our customer service. So hello, Anthony. Thanks for being here. We so much appreciate you being here. It's awesome to have the backup power. So you guys, some of you have been here before. Maybe you guys are new. Whoever's new, let me tell you how things work a little bit. This is a chat-based forum. So what we do is you bring your questions around the Healy hardware, the Healy technology, function, anything that has to do with how it works. And we'll do our best to solve it. Even if you have put in a customer service ticket and you're still trying to solve something. So bring that information to the call and we'll definitely help you out. What we can't do is we can't do anything around solving health issues. We can't diagnose, prevent, or treat any kind of illness or disease. We have to stay compliant with recommendations like that. I'm not a doctor. Jake's not a doctor. You know, I mean, we're here to solve the mysteries of technology. So that's what we're here to do, guys. So definitely put your questions in the chat and let's get started. How about that, Jake?
Let's go.
All right. Let's see. Rachel says, I come early to hear the song each week. Right on. Well, we'll make sure to have you a song there to listen to. So let's see. What do we got?
So first question I have. So it was regarding the MagHealy. So it says, when using the animal program, does the device need to be at the floor or animal level? So referring to the animal harmony program, which is in the atmosphere section of the MagHealy. So that program is one of the ones that it doesn't have a set period of time that it runs. You're supposed to just place it in the area of where you want to sort of experience the benefits of that atmosphere program. So for that one, you know, like, I mean, does it need to be on the floor where your animal is, or can it be just sitting on the desk, maybe close by or on the couch, something like that? So that program has a 10-foot radius. So, you know, about 5 feet or so in each direction from that MagHealy. So as long as it's within that, your animal is within that range, it would be experiencing those benefits from the MagHealy. The closer, the better, because it does drop off the further you go, but there still be benefits there. So I don't know that it matters too much if it's on the floor or at the animal's height or anything like that for that type of program.
Yeah, remember that there's this radius. It's a radius. It's a spherical measurement. So 10 feet. Think of it as the size of a Volkswagen Bug. I mean, literally, it's a very large area, a very large sphere, because the energy comes out of the MagHealy and the Healy in an omnidirectional type of exposure. So it's omnidirectional. So up, down, left, right, all the way around, like a big bubble that gets bigger and bigger. So and quite honestly, the bubble, the magnetic energy goes infinitely vast, but the epicenter is right there at the device, the MagHealy. And then, you know, it gets lower in intensity outside that, what they call the maximum effective range of 10 feet. Okay. So the first question I saw here was, how do I ask a question? It was in the chat. And that's a great question, right? How do I ask a question? So, so you just type it in the chat here. Type it in the chat and we go down the list and we unpack these questions. And as well as in the background, Anthony is you know, directly answering things as well. So there you go. Let's see. And Anthony's saying happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Hope you're seeing that. There's a question about the Healy Watch. My sleep cycle function doesn't work consistently. So, you know, there was a while back, there was a firmware update that helped some of the sleep cycle tracking. And I also look at the hardware. How is the watch being worn on the body? And some people's wrists are very small, and so, you know, it may move around, it may not have a very solid fit. So that's another concern. But there was a firmware upgrade that helped some of that stuff. Jake, have you heard anything else about improvements?
On that particular topic, no, I've not heard anything new.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, tracking sleep, there is within the hardware, it's looking for low heart rate. It's looking for variabilities, you know, movements. So it's, again, making sure that is fitted right on your wrist. I know I've had a couple of clients, customers that are very tiny wrists, and, you know, the Healy Watch face is kind of wide and it doesn't quite fit well. And so we had to raise it up higher on the arm. Was one of the solutions. Okay. All right. This is a good question. How do you use the HealAdvisor Search? We've gone through this a couple of times, haven't we, Jake?
We have.
How do you deal with the results in the search? And this is a good one because it's kind of changed a bit, right, from before till now. Do you want to do one on the screen here, Jake, or we can just talk about it?
I think we can talk about maybe we can go in with a device later.
Yeah.
And this also is related to the question below this one, about certain topics and things that you might be searching for. So there has been an update to the HealAdvisor Search, and it's changed a few times over the past 2 years. And we've done some trainings on this as well, but there used to be like two different ways to search. There was a open search where you can type anything, and then those results, you can kind of just save those programs to your program pool. And then there was a kind of a guided search where it was, you couldn't type it in, but you could just pick from a preset list of things. And it was sort of confusing that one was versus the other as far as how you add them to the IMF schedule. So basically those were sort of combined into one search function, and there's groups of programs now. So rather than pick the individual programs that might pop up, if you search for something, it'll suggest a group of programs that may be contain beneficial frequencies for whatever topic that you're searching for there. So, you know, part of this is also compliance related too. So we're a global company in over 50 countries, and this one app has to be compliant in all these different markets. So as we open up new markets, like we opened up Korea recently, that was a very strict market as far as how you can display certain things. So that's part of the reason why. Part of it was to combine it into one search function. Part of it is to stay compliant globally as well. But the search results that do pop up, it might not appear the same or appear as logical for certain things, but there's a reason those results are being displayed. It's not random. So it's not, you know, this is pulling from the HealAdvisor cloud database, which, you know, taps into the TimeWaver database too. So there's a lot that goes into displaying these results. So at a glance, you might be like, well, why do I need this program or that program? But there's frequencies in these programs that are known to be beneficial for whatever topic that you're working on.
Yeah, let me show you. I'm going to go ahead and just share my screen real quick, guys. And then I want to show you an example. Maybe this will help to understand. So because I'm going to show you from my smartphone, and I'll just pull that app up, and we'll give it a little 1-2. Here we go. All right. So basically opening the app, here's the HealAdvisor, the swirly lines. It's going to log in to my account. And then you see this little raining sensation there. It's logging in. So we go to the HealAdvisor Search, tap on the little arrow at the bottom right there. gives us a notice about a disclaimer. And then we can go to our search function. So if you'll notice here, there's some settings below the search bar. There's some settings, all IMF programs, and then there's certain subscriptions that you may have or may not have. So if I click on all programs, it's going to look in all the different database, or I should say program pages. If I just choose maybe one of my subscriptions I have, bioenergetic vitalization or digital nutrition, then it's only going to search within that modality. Or
yeah, while you're on this page, it's important to note that the first time you use this app, it's going to ask you which modules you have access to. So you might have multiple Healys, and the one that you want to run these specific programs on might have different programs on it than a different one that you have. So you pick the ones that you want to display results for specifically here. So you can either manually do this. If you click all IMF programs, it's going to kind of just go through and check all those boxes for you there. But yeah, you can customize that there.
So these are some of the stuff that's coming up based on our search word. So it's just read a little bit differently. We have to look at it. We're still getting programs relevant to the topic, whatever the topic is. And then we're just getting categories or groupings of relevant packages for the topic. And we can go and search those relevant groupings. Okay. All right. That makes sense. Everybody love that. I think, I mean, it's not hard to, it takes a minute, maybe because you're used to seeing some other information right there.
Yeah, and there was a question, do you do every program listed? There's a lot of programs in some of these groups, start with the ones at the top. They're listed in order of relevance to the particular topic. So
exactly. So the first one's the first one. And then remember, staying within the protocol of 3 to 4 programs a day, and making sure you're maintaining your self-care with hydration, grounding, breathing, movement. Remember, one of those programs on there was the lymphatic system, right? How's the lymphatic system mobilized? It's movement. It's the body's movement. It's your muscular system that actually radiates and moves, that creates mobility within the lymphatic system. Okay. Okay. Let's see. So Ray's saying I custom record my supplements into my Healy and place them in a glass. Does using a glass affect the potency of my supplement frequencies? Would it affect the frequency or structure of my redox signaling water? So glass is an insulator, first of all, in other words, not conductive. It's transparent, so it's really going to have essentially no interface with, or interference, not much interference with even light frequencies. So the glass itself really isn't going to have it. Now, the contents of the glass, if you have water in the glass, now that's going to start having some absorption or dilution contribution. So, but no, the glass itself, no, it's going to have, if anything, it's going to be so negligible. I don't know if you can be able to measure it. Glass is much better. I highly recommend glass as opposed to, plastic, anything synthetic like that. Glass is great. Yeah. So I say you're good.
Same reason why, for the MagHealy, the water programs, we recommend using a glass cup, pitcher, that type of thing.
And I also recommend one without a lot of, with no paint on it. I mean, no words and paint, and, you get this glass from some party you were at, and, it's got all of the contents energetically of whatever that was. Maybe it says some alcohol brand name on or something. No, just nice, clear, beautiful glass. Okay. 2 questions here. This was in one of the groups today. Can you wear Healy and coil while holding a baby? And for me, I would like an explanation of the waves shown when vibrating blue dot. Recently, let's see, I ran Alaskan gyms. The waves were going so fast, it was a blur. So question 1, can you wear the coil when you're holding a baby? Again, you, the parent of the child, is the governing agent, and Healy in the microcurrent frequency is not recommended for women who are pregnant, breastfeeding, or for children, anyone under 18. So just know that's part of the criteria. The magnetic energy, interesting thing about magnetic energy is the frequencies Healy's sending out, every body is an antenna receiving these, and the information or the intelligence on these frequencies on this magnetic wave is interpreted by the body, by the nervous system. So certainly a baby being held by you while you're wearing your Healy with running in a coil is going to have influences from those frequencies, and this system is going to look for resonance between the two entities and come up with solutions that match the combination. So use your own judgment. I'm not going to say I recommend it or I say no. It's just, it's not really up to me. If it were my child, I make certain decisions around my children, and I understand the frequencies being transmitted out of the wave generator. I know what they do and how they work, and there isn't one that's harmful. Okay, I'll put it that way. Now, for what you're seeing on the screen when you're running the blue dot vibration, you're seeing two different colored wave patterns, kind of a pinkish hue and a bluish hue, light bluish hue. And there's two reasons for those. One is the wave pattern reading information from you. That's the blue one. Like when you put a client in, if you notice, when you put a client in and you do the record vibration, and you'll see this blue waveform pattern going across the screen, that's because Healy is reading from the environment, from the client. So that's the blue waveform. Overlapping on that, simultaneously, is the pink waveform. That is the Healy's frequency sending to you. So it's a two-way. You're actually seeing in real life, real time, a two-way communications right there. Send and receive, both. So it's receiving information from you and sending to you. And it's the algorithm, it's the programming that's determining in real time that those particular frequencies. Okay. Kathy says in the search, can we search for broken heart? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, put it in. And the gold cycle, the reason every edition comes with the gold cycle page is because on there is balance. It's when we're going through hardships, what's the best thing you can have is a balance, between grief and peace, finding balance.
Yeah, the gold cycle program, some of the programs in the mental balance section as well. So there's and soul cycle too, the new program group too. There's actually a lot that could be beneficial.
Yep. And on the chakras page, the heart chakra,
yeah.
To work with the heart, aligning it. Yeah, some great stuff there. Okay. You got one, Jake, you want to look at? Let's see. Michelle's asking, do you ideally do every program listed? I think we talked about that. Yeah.
Okay. Here's another MagHealy question. It says, can we pour boiling water into a glass jar or plastic jar to run the water program? Afterwards, store in a stainless steel water bottle to keep warm. Because my friend doesn't drink cool or cold water. And how long can the water last after running the water program? Also, we saw bubbles appear in the glass jar when running the water program on YouTube, but my friend's water doesn't have bubbles. Is it okay?
Yeah. So what is bubbles? Bubbles is accumulations of oxygen big enough to create a pocket. So first of all, I don't recommend plastic. Okay. I know some BPA.
Definitely not if you're pouring boiling water into it either.
No,
so.
I know they say BPA safe, and most plastics at certain temperatures are BPA safe, but as you raise the temperature of plastic, the BPA can still be emitted because of, you're raising it beyond some of its limits. So I don't recommend plastic, first of all. Ceramic or glass. And then yes, you can put in stainless steel. to keep it, a certain temperature. You can also, there are ceramic containers that help insulate and keep temperatures regulated. So that's another way of keeping it into a, stainless steel is still a good metal. You're going to have frequencies put into your water. And I think a glass, I know you want to keep it warm, but glass containers or ceramics are still the better materials to keep it in. You're not going to really hurt it any. And how long will it keep? Well, there are there's some information on that actually within the guidelines of running it with your water.
Yeah,
Jake?
it's you want to use it within 12 hours is the general recommendation. So.
It's hard to keep something warm for 12 hours, in a container like that, but. Okay.
Yeah, that should be long enough for most people throughout the course of the day. So.
Yeah, bubbles are, again, accumulation of oxygen. So what's water? The molecular structure is H2O, right? 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. So you're starting to emit oxygen. You're when you're running some of the collectives, especially when you're changing temperature like that.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if it could also be a difference between the type of water someone was using or the intensity that they were using the MagHealy at as well. But yeah.
Yeah. So Ray has a statement here. Crystal glass works great. Yep. Okay. Question about the MagHealy. Can I energize other liquids other than pure water? Thinking of electrolytes. Every liquid has water in it. So you're still addressing the water. All right. The other things are just particles within the water. No matter how well something is immersed, it's still, if you separate it, in other words, if you were to boil it, what happens? You change the water into a gas. The gas is essentially the steam. The steam comes out. If you have a condenser or collector, then that gas cools down, turns back to water, and you have pure water draining off the collector, right? So no matter what the liquid is, you can know that there's water in there. And so what you're really addressing is the water. If there's electrolytes in there also, okay, you're still addressing the water. And your body processes water. Let me put it this way. Your body processes the information in water. So all of the communication systems within our body is essentially through water at the speed of light. These are the ways that cell information transfers is at the speed of light, but again, using water as its, call it like its phone line, right? It's communications medium. So the electrolytes would just be in there. All right. So somebody says here, my HealAdvisor won't work. Okay, so tech support's helping you out there. Okay, good. So Anthony's got you. We'll get that HealAdvisor working. A lot of hearts going out for Kathy. All right, for your son. All right. So there's a question about a specific type of glass, no lead in manufacture. So crystal, again, is a good one. In any glass in its more pure form. Again, glass is, I mean, honestly, I'll put it this way. Glass, the type of glass you're using would be the least concerns that I have over your intention. Because literally your intention, your mind, your beliefs, your perceptions are going to have a lot bigger influence on the effectiveness of that water once it gets into the body, more so than the glass that has been energized in. But yeah, go as far, as many steps as you can go, as many as you want to go in terms of the purity of the glass or the crystal. And then again, the next phase of that is where your mind is when you're two things, when you're actually implementing the frequencies into the water, right? I mean, many of you guys might be familiar with Dr. Emoto's studies around sound and music and things being infused into water, freezing that water, and then looking in a microscope at the crystals and the structures of the crystals of the water in its frozen state, and how different they were when from one type of music to another type of music, or even just words, language to this water. So again, your thoughts also have influence. So making sure, because when you drink the water, remember the environment signals the gene. This is epigenetics. The environment signals the gene epigenetically in the body, and your body, to the tune of 800,000 cells per second, are being recreated under the influence of the environment. And the environment of the cell is the exterior, the outer area of the cell, which is the interior of your body, right? So the body's environment, I should say the cell's environment, is your body. And if your mind is having thoughts, it's creating energy, it's creating expressions within the body, it's creating frequencies, which are emotions, chemistry within the body. And so our thoughts shift the influence of these genetic codes, 800,000 cells per second. And Healy is working in that same modality, 800,000 cells per second. The genetic code, 97% of that is adaptive, reading the environment. So they can build a cell, build a body, build a system, an organ, a tissue that fits its environment. And for one reason and one reason only, and that's to survive, to simply survive in its environment. Okay. So if your mind is having a lot of unserving thoughts, you're going to have a huge influence on your body, on that genetic code. And as effective as Healy is, it's going to be fighting against this mind. So making sure that your mind is on board with your beliefs, with your joy, with your expression of possibility. Okay. All right. What water is best to use? I have a Kangen water, alkaline. So, have your waters. I mean, look at the pH of your water. If you can test your pH of your water, whether it's tap water or even filtered water, whatever it is, test it, see what it is. There's a lot of things about water. Gosh, there's so much information out there about water. That's a whole nother subject I don't want to get into, but there's a lot of information about water, and I'm a proponent for pH, because our body's at 7.4, right? And the more acidic that we're feeding the body, the more work it has to do to maintain an alkali state or a balanced state. The more alkali we are, the more the body has to work to maintain its balanced state. So finding that right match, I think is very vital in terms of how much energy your body's consuming just to find balance. And if your water is, 6.8 on the pH scale or 10 on this pH scale, that's going to help balance if you have an acidic diet. There's lots of research out there on pH and finding your balance. So our body's constantly working to maintain balance. I don't really have a recommendation as to which water is better. I personally don't do a lot of tap water because my tap water, I've tested it. It's not what I want. Okay. Let's see. I have only had my Healy for 2 weeks. Well, welcome to the family. So I've not tried to treat water yet. Could you do a share screen to show me how to get there? So treating water, that's a MagHealy function. It's designed now. People are being able to do this with the actual Healy 2. but from the MagHealy, there is a whole page on the water. And you can, do you want to show those, Jake, or do you have any of those available to see? I don't have one.
Well, I mean, there's 24 programs there, and there's actually a download available in the back office about there's the MagHealy manual, which is the longer guide that shows all the programs. And there's also like a marketing piece that's the MagHealy program overview, and that's available in the back office as well. I'll just show a real overview of these water programs. So we have, water activation 1, and you'll see here that these are all 10 minutes in duration. They're all the same, and there's different program groups here. There's a little bit of a brief description as well of what that program is, and you'll see that there's 12 more here on water activation 2. And what you do is very simple. I mean, you just, again, we've been talking about glass a lot today, but you want to, when you're informing and energizing your water with these quantum analyzed frequencies, you want to put it in a glass cup, glass pitcher, or something like that, and you just place the MagHealy on top. So the magnet that is coming out of the bottom of the MagHealy is where you'll notice that also too when you're using it on you. That's where it gets warm when you're using it. So you put the MagHealy directly on top of the glass, and then let it run for those 10 minutes, and then that's it. It's really simple. So there's not a lot to it. But again, you can do this several times, maybe throughout the day. You want to run a different water program in the morning, a different one in the evening, maybe something to help with sleep at night, something like that. But it's really not that complicated. So that's why there might not be a lot of videos out there, because it's it's one of the most simple features or options that we have here. So
and that's with the MagHealy. So Pat's saying she's had her Healy for just a couple of weeks. So that's the MagHealy. The Healy itself doesn't really have water programs, because that's the MagHealy was designed to do this. And the Healy itself can do it. You can run the coil. It's not going to have these programs, specific for water. The Healy is going to have whatever came with your addition. What's very specific to water, and there was a lot of requests. I mean, Healy's trying to address the water because that's what your body's mostly made out of. But your Healy's still doing it. Essentially, when you're running the microcurrent through your body, you're still speaking to what? You're speaking to the water, the transmission medium within the body. Okay. With the MagHealy, is it okay to energize boiling water? Let's see, not limit tap water or spring water or distilled water or filtered water. So remember, boiling water emits gas. And if you have your Healy sitting on top of it, it's going to condense steam, and it's going to not be good for the internal electronics of the device. I do not recommend that you put Healy over steam. It does have some parameters in terms of humidity, minimum and maximum humidities, as well as temperatures. So boiling water is too high, and you're going to have too much humidity. It's going to condense within the interior structures and the electronics, because inside the Healy, the casing may be plastic, but inside is a printed circuit board with metallic materials. There's traces and components in there, and water molecule or steam molecules will condense on that, and you'll have water inside your Healy, or inside your MagHealy. Okay, so don't have it above it. All right. Let's see. Somebody says, I can't find response to my advisor problem. So it looks like tech support's still working with you. Looking at probably communicating in the private chat. So there's a way, if you guys don't know how to switch and give someone a message on this call privately, down there in the chat box where it says, there's a little blue box that says everyone, you click on the down arrow and it'll have everybody listed there. And you can go in and you can choose so our tech support is under Healy Tech Support. Anthony that's his heading, that's his label. Okay, and you can directly chat there. Can you treat water with the regular Healy also? Yeah, we just talked about that. So I'm a bit behind here, I think. But yes, the way you do that is no different than the MagHealy. It's just the MagHealy has program specific, and the MagHealy has 2 quantum sensors. It's a bit more powerful in its emission because of its purpose. It's more purpose driven for water. Healy is going to send that into your water as well. It's just that, you're running gold cycle frequencies, from the gold page or chakra page or, whatever page you're choosing. You're still putting that frequency and tension into the water though. I had a video I put out a while back where I put 2 probes down into the water on each side of the glass, connected the sticky pads to those probes, and then with the leads ran those frequencies directly via microcurrent through the water, because water is conductive. And now you're taking and infusing the molecules of water with the information on the microcurrent. And so that's another function that we can do. Anything that's conductive, any type of liquid, you can actually run with 2 metallic probes and connecting the sticky pads to them. I just use, if you want to use some common devices, I just use kitchen butter knives. You just stick them down in the water, stick the sticky pads to each one, keeping them separate from each other. And the information goes from the Healy through the butter knives, through the water, and completes the circuit. And then you can adjust the intensity on your Healy and run those frequencies. Okay. So after there's a question here about, okay, so after you infuse the water with the frequencies, can you then boil the water? Yes, you can. There's 2 ways to change the state of something, of a molecule: heat and chemistry. So remember, if you're changing the molecular structure of the water molecule when you heat it up, 212 degrees at the boiling point. So you're starting to agitate those molecules at a different frequency, different rate. You're still putting information in them, but remember, it's going to be, there's going to be some shifts and changes. 2 ways to change the state of a molecule: chemistry and heat. So, I mean, I guess I would boil the water first. Honestly, if you're trying to purify it, I would boil the water first. Then I would infuse the frequencies, and then I would consume it. I would use it after that. Because if you energized it first and then boiled it, now you're changing some of these states to a much higher, more agitated state. Let it start to down regulate in state as it's coming off the boiling point. As that's when you would infuse, because you're not going to drink it or consume it at the boiling point. You're going to bring it down to, I don't know, 120 degrees. I mean, you're not going to drink 212 degree water. You're not going to consume it. And if you're sterilizing things with it, it's that temperature that's the effectiveness. So again, it's dependent on what you're trying to do with that water. I would probably infuse those frequencies after the boiling point. Does that make sense? Bringing that temperature down to where you're going to be closer to consumption. I'm a tea person, so I have I have a very structured way of making my tea, and it requires that nice boiling water. But I don't put information into it, the blessings of it, until it's the tea, until it's the complete thing that I'm about to consume. And that's when I would infuse those frequencies.
Okay. We have a question about the databases in the Analyze app. So someone's saying their professional device has a database called Vital Substances, but some of the newer Healy members have one called Courage. And the question was, is Vital Substances still functional? So it is still functional, yeah. So this is it's a change in what comes with certain devices. So prior to August 1st, 2022, everybody that had Vital Substances keeps Vital Substances and will have that database on their Healy devices. But after, or starting on August 1st, 2022, that database has been replaced with a different one that's called Courage. So there isn't a way to just add the Courage database to those older Healy devices, but any newer device purchased August 1st or later comes with that Courage database.
Yeah. I know we've had a few changes. I mean, I believe Healy's still a young company, still making adjustments, and you know, there's a lot of different things that are and reasons for that. Different programs.
Yeah, I mean, some of the things have changed. Either the databases have changed some, or the names of the databases have changed some, or some of the databases have been combined into bigger databases, and things like that. So there's so many programs and so many databases, and again, we're operating in 50 countries, and there's a lot of things that there's constantly going to be some changes like this over time, and new things will be added, and some things might be replaced, but in general, there's a ton out there, and there's a ton more to come.
So Healy's parent is TimeWaver, and TimeWaver is a vast database, and it's practitioner based. So you've got to get, you have to have some pretty diligent training. And then there's also many practitioners within the TimeWaver that have a lot of experience with clients. And so that information is constantly being looked at and evaluated, and then pumped out into how do we improve Healy, and ultimately how do we improve humanity using Healy, right? So the test module is TimeWaver, and a lot of experience, a lot of clients, a lot of practitioners that are feeding the information field and feeding that TimeWaver analysis. And Marcus is always using that, his staff as well, the TimeWaver staff. And when they find ways to improve things, then, Healy gets those benefits. So it's going to be ongoing. I can see it forever. I mean, look at this. This is a technology that really doesn't have a ceiling. It really doesn't have a point in which you cap out.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So Michelle asked, what is the significance in the different amounts of time you can run the blue dot frequency? So within that vibrational, within the vibration function, there is a time drop down window, everything from a fraction of a second. So in other words, at the top of the list, there's numbers with just a Z at the end. That's a thousandth of a second, 820 thousandths of a second. So that's a fraction of a second all the way down to seconds, minutes, hours, days, right? You can, there's ways you can adjust that to be in there. And there is, and we've actually, Jake's mentioned it here before. There's a bit of an explanation about that in the coaching module, about, what those numbers are, or how you decide, I guess, or help to choose. But remember, when we're working with the information field and we're working with the blue dot, the client has already been picked, right? So this is the intention and the destination for everything that's being transmitted from that point on has been solidified. So the destination has been solidified. The intention has been set for what kind of database you want to run from. And then when you send information to the field of that client, their blueprint in the information field is upregulated in an instant. It's just that, you're running it longer and longer for more material mass or deeper conditions. But I recommend that, you look at that training. That's in the academy, right? The coaching module.
Yeah, I'll show it. I have it up here right now. So let me share. This is an academy.healy.world. You log into that, the same ID and password that you do for back office, shop, any of our apps as well. And if you go to the top, the coach modules up here, then there's a video called guide transmission duration at Healy Coach. And this video here, this is at it's about a 3.5 minute long video, but watch the whole thing. But you'll see here, this is around the 3-minute mark. There's transmission duration recommendations here for the coaching module within the Analyse app, but these would apply also to doing the resonance analysis too. So
you can see it's conscious and subconscious is how they're differentiating here.
Mm-hmm.
Subconscious tends to be a little bit longer presentation, but fewer times per day.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can see how that's broken down between the level in which it's being addressed, conscious, subconscious.
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Jake.
Sure.
Okay. Let's see, what else do we got here? So there's another question about how to connect with an expert for advice, and looks like oh, thanks, Michelle. Ken, your best expert. That's very kind. Thank you. So there is within the Healy an expert program page, I should say, and those this is where you can connect with a direct time waiver practitioner. And time waiver practitioners are kind of all over the world, mostly in Europe, but you can search for a time waiver practitioner, and you can have a session with a practitioner via virtual, and they can create custom programs designed from their vast database and their vast experience and their knowledge. I mean, they're really good at this. And they can come up with programs, and then you would give them your what's called TAN number. It's on that expert page within your Healy program. You set up a session with this practitioner. They can custom make a program for you. You give them your TAN, which is generated from the app. You give them that number. They can then send via the cloud that particular program to your Healy page, that expert program page, and you'll have your own custom program, and you can run the microcurrent from that program. They're run from the Pink Dot app, okay, from the Healy app. They're run from there, but very specific to you. So a super valuable, very valuable way to get through to some of the, I mean, and they can talk about very specific things that we're not able to talk about right now. Okay. All right. Let's see. What does it mean, or just why, if while the blue app is being used on a female and one of the programs comes up with prostate? This is a great question. I get this often. Or let's go the other way. If it's a male and it comes up with menstruation or something like that, right? Why would it come up within that analysis? Why would that come up? So remember that this analysis, the quantum field, or essentially the quantum sensors, working within a realm that's not physical. It's beyond the physical. And so it's looking at the entity, the client, as an energy form, a form of energy. And so if there is something, it doesn't matter what the frequency source is, but if there's a frequency that this entity, this client needs, and let's say it's a female, and it finds something within the prostate modality or that grouping that female needs, because there is a form of, those female prostate systems, but there is a frequency that needs to speak to that area of the body. Where's the prostate in the male? Okay, where is it? First energy center, yes, right? The root chakra, if we want to call it that, but the first energy center. So there are tissues, organs, and systems in there. Yes, different from male and female, but there's still systems in there that are the same or similar in the way they're functioning. So it's, if you're going to get something that says prostate and it's for a female, look at it as the region of the body more so than the organ, because there's something addressing the region of the body necessary that the system looked at from a molecular level. Okay, from the level of electrons and the energy level of that person. So I know it doesn't. It's come up with, for me, certain scans that show something relative to a female or the feminine. I don't question it. I'm like, okay, I get it. I studied wave theory for decades. As an engineer, I studied wave theory, and so I know frequencies. Healy transmits a frequency. Its bandwidth is from 0.1 or 0.1 hertz up to 1 million or 1 megahertz. And so that's broken down into almost 9 million different potentials, almost 9 million different frequencies available for Healy to transmit. And it uses that entire range. And so just a difference of 0.1 maybe, again, it's like between male and female, or between this region of the body and that region of the body, or between this tissue and that tissue. And it's only found on the prostate program. It's going to give it to you because that's the one that most resonates. Right? Okay. Did we miss anything?
No, we got a couple more questions here. So I'm going to go back to Academy for this next one. It says, what do the frequencies mean when I see them run? So we have a great video actually in Academy that explains what's actually going on when you're running a program in the Healy 2 app and you see the frequency changes every 10 seconds or so. And at the beginning, you'll see the frequencies change. And then once it moves into the next mode of the program, you'll see the frequency along with a percentage as well. And it goes through that phase, and then it moves to the final phase as well. And you'll see these frequencies continue to change. Some of them loop back as well. And you'll see the percentages go from a very low -% to a very high positive percentage number there. And this program, again, back to the academy.healy.world. After you log in, go to Healy at the top, and then this video, how the Healy programs work. This is an excellent video. It explains the different phases of that when running a program in the Healy 2 app and how it's determining which frequencies to give you and what exactly is going on there. So it explains it better than me. So yeah, go ahead and watch that video. It's only a couple minutes long, but it's excellent if you've not watched that one yet.
There's a question in here about purchasing deadlines. So like today, there's February 14th deadline, but so the 14th, it depends on what it is. Like for instance, the homecoming event in May, that deadline is a Eventbrite deadline. It shows you midnight. It's Eastern, I believe.
Yeah, that one's different. So yeah, as Ken mentioned, it depends on what, but in general, if you're referring to any promotions related to purchasing devices, that type of thing, those are all based off UTC time, which right now is a 5-hour time difference between Eastern time and UTC. So the program or the promos that ended today ended at 11:59 p.m. UTC, which is actually 6:59 p.m. Eastern time. So those are over already. So, and again, that's because it doesn't operate on Eastern time because we are a global company, headquarters in Germany, and we also have markets in Asia Pacific as well. So
everything in the back office is programmed to UTC's time. So it's like they got to pick one consistent, right? And then everybody else needs to conform to that. So it's because it's a German-based company, they're going to pick that time zone, and it's 11:59, just before midnight. And then we just have to figure out how to convert that over. And it does change because of the daylight savings. And it's important to keep track of that.
It's soon here, not too distant future. When we switch back, it'll be back to the 6-hour time difference. But
yeah. And then, like I was mentioning, the deadline for, if any of you guys are going or wanting to go to the Healy homecoming event that's coming up in May. It's May 11th through the 13th. And so the early bird special, the $149 special, ends today at midnight Eastern, or 11:59. That's what the Eventbrite deadline is. So if anybody's going to homecoming, it's open to everybody. And it's a 3-day event with lots of breakout sessions, trainings, and things like that from our experts and our corporate heads. So definitely look at that. Let's see, maybe we can put that Eventbrite link in there in the chat.
Yeah, I will.
I'm looking for it. If you can find it, if you can put that in there, that'd be great. We'll have the Eventbrite if you guys want to get to that. So today is the deadline. It's $149 for a ticket. Everybody needs a ticket. You got to get there. Lots of great training. It's definitely worth it. After that, it's going to go to $199 until the end of the month, and then it's going to go to $49, I believe. So it's just going to go.
Yeah, every fifth. Yeah.
Right now, get your tickets now. $149. Okay. Next question. How do I access the recording so I can watch it again? Great question. So there is a YouTube page. It is Healy World Americas is the YouTube page. And on there are different playlists. And there is a playlist just for Tech Tip Tuesday. There's a playlist for What's Up Wednesday. There's a playlist for some awesome tech videos on how to do some stuff. So there's playlists in there. So you can subscribe to the channel, Healy World Americas YouTube channel, and click on the little notification bell, and you'll get all the new recordings when they pop up. And all those recordings are put in there, and they are hyperlinked, so they're easy to find the content you're looking for. So jump in there and become like it and get your notifications.
One last question here for Pat before we go. She was asking, when running are very sensitive to frequencies at times and can feel the ones run for the dog. When running a program for myself where I pick the percent, what do you suggest I use? So I don't know that we can make that recommendation for you. If you are very sensitive to microcurrent, start low and then see how it goes, and then listen to your body. If it feels like it's too much, stay at a low intensity. There's no right or wrong answer for that's we can apply to everybody. Everyone has a different. Some people use the low current setting at 5, 10, 15%. Other people use the high current setting at 70%, 80%, 100%. So it's really, there's a huge range. That's why there's not specific recommendations for those microcurrent programs like there are for, say, like the MagHealy. There's a range given of what you should use because it varies so much from person to person. Just don't overdo it and listen to your body, and make sure that you're always comfortable when you're using the Healy. So
that's the biggest thing I always say to everybody. We have one body, each of us, and this is our rudder, right? Allow it to give you feedback so they can guide you. Listen to the body, and it has very limited vocabulary, different than our spoken word. It only speaks in certain ways. And so make sure that you listen to it and continue to abide by it. Sometimes a clearing of something goes through a little bit of a discomfort before it clears it all the way out. So don't always interpret these discomforts as terrible. Sometimes the body needs to clear that out. All right. Thank you so much, Jake. Thank you, Anthony, for the background support. Thank you all for being here. Happy Valentine's again. I want to tell you from my heart, big blessings to all you guys, big love in the month of love, and especially the day of celebration of such. So I believe that it's not just our spouse, our dear one that's right next to us, but we should love everybody as they deserve, right? Everybody deserves a big energy of love. I think we can change the world that way. So look for the recording on the YouTube page. We'll see you next week. If we didn't get to your question tonight, please jump in next week and we'll do it again. If you want to save the chat down there in the little chat, there's the 3 little dots. Click on those 3 little dots. That will give you the ability to save the chat at the end of our call to your PC, only if you're on a PC or a Mac, not on a smart device. All right, guys. Thanks a bunch. Jake,
join us tomorrow on What's Up Wednesday. We got some big announcements, big news to cover. So 1 p.m. Eastern time, HealyWuw.com will take you right to that Zoom meeting. So yeah, join us tomorrow.
See you guys tomorrow. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.